when you're painting, you probably don't want to fly though. You want to take your time. We're going to get some painting tips from a paint expert from Ace Hardware right here in Faribault, and I mean, Hailey Shankey knows her stuff. We were just chatting a bit off the air. She was showing me a picture of some new paint that they've got and some work that she did with it. My oh my, not only does she know her paint, she can paint. And she's with us today here on our AM Minnesota program. Good morning, Hailey.
Good morning.
Thanks for stopping in.
Thank you for having me.
I really do appreciate it, and thanks to Ace Hardware for sending you down, because I need a painting expert. There's no question about that. Let's get a little of your background, though. How long have you been doing this?
I've been at Ace Hardware for 2 years, just going on 2 years. Before that, I didn't have any type of paint knowledge. So, just about 2 years.
Yeah, but you go to school, you were telling me, some classes and stuff.
Yep. I go to classes maybe 3 times a year for ongoing education, and it's definitely helpful having that.
And what are some of the things they go over in these classes?
They go over different types of products that they come up with and just refreshing knowledge on the products we have and application and stuff like that.
You were saying, we were chatting a bit off the air, I called you earlier this morning.
Yeah.
And you were saying you got a tremendous number of products at Ace Hardware. I don't know if people realize the different kinds of paint there are.
Right. We have anywhere from your basic paint to paint and primer. Now we just recently got this chalk paint in, which is a furniture refurbishing paint, which kind of leaves that chalky, antique-y look, which is really nice. So there's a lot of different things out there now.
Yeah, you were showing me something that you did at home.
Yes.
With that, we'll show the viewers this on YouTube, and we'll try to describe it for the listeners on the radio.
Okay.
A little bit later on in the next segment. But is this something you ever thought, Hailey, you'd be doing? Paint work?
No, I actually went to school for hair. I was a beautician for 4 years and never thought I'd be in the paint field, and I love it.
Well, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, color-wise. Yeah.
You gotta know your colors.
You gotta know your colors.
And when I was in Florida in December, I got my hair cut.
Yes.
I know it's hard to believe looking at my hair, but I thought it's a little long, so I walked down to a barber shop, which actually was not really a barber shop. It was kind of a salon. There was a woman sitting next to me getting her hair colored. Man, is that a tedious process.
It is tedious, yes, along with paint.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Yeah,
he was using a brush to stroke the color in her hair in various segments.
Yeah, yeah.
I can't even imagine standing there for hours doing this.
Right, yeah.
The sitting part.
The sitting part and the standing part.
As well as the standing, yes. But I was really enthralled by it, to be quite honest. I didn't realize it was that much work to put color, lines in the hair. This gal was a brunette. She wanted blonde streaks in her hair.
Oh, sure. Yep. Yeah.
So you've done some of that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there you go. You had painting expertise before you got into painting.
Yep.
Only it was hair. It wasn't walls. You know about particular paints for particular surfaces.
Yep. All paint lines vary from flat, eggshell, satin, semi-gloss, meaning flat obviously being a flat finish and semi-gloss being a shiny finish. Normally your semi-gloss is going to be more durable and washable. So semi-gloss you'd normally use on a furniture or trim, doors, anything that's going to be touched and needs that washability. A flat you can obviously use like on a bedroom wall where nobody normally touches a bedroom wall. It doesn't need that washability or durability.
The thing I don't like about painting, and I don't think I'm alone in this, is the preparation work.
Yes.
And I want to touch on that in our next segment, okay?
Sounds good.
Because I know you got anything that somebody needs in terms of prep work, as far as a tool, down at Ace Hardware,
Oh,
right?
yes.
Right there in the painting department. You got painting expertise in studio from Faribault's Ace Hardware. Hailey Shankey is the manager of the painting department And you got a sale going on now on paint, I take it.
We don't yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
I thought you had a flyer in front of you.
Well,
That was paint
we've got a lot of different sale items right now.
Oh, you want to touch on some of those before we go back to painting?
We've got some light bulbs, potting soil, garden soil, a lot of your lawn and garden stuff.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Keep in mind too we've got the instant rebates for a lot of those items, so sign up for that rewards and you can get that instant rebate at the register rather than sending in a rebate form. You get probably an additional anywhere from $2 to $5 off in addition.
I have an ACE rewards card and I would recommend you get one.
Yes.
It's worth it.
It is.
Doesn't cost you anything.
It doesn't cost anything.
It's a no-brainer, folks. You gotta go to Ace Hardware, you gotta have an Ace rewards card.
Yes, you definitely get the deals that way, for sure.
No question. What else you got going on over there?
And we've got just a lot of lawn and garden stuff. We do have a Memorial Day sale coming up, so keep your eyes open for that. Not quite sure what's on it yet, but definitely keep your eyes peeled.
Is this a good time of year in terms of paint? I would assume people are getting their places spruced up, graduations are coming up, and communion or confirmation, first communion, all that stuff.
Yes, there's a lot of interior along with a lot of exterior painting going on. We've been selling a lot of exterior paint, exterior stain for decks and siding and all sorts of things. So,
with permanent siding as prevalent as it is, you still have a lot of outdoor painting jobs.
We do. A lot of those older homes don't have the permanent siding on them, so we still have a lot of the older style homes that have the old wood siding that need to be painted every so often, and we still do a lot of exterior paint for that type of project.
And they don't want to get the permanent siding, they want that the old look.
Exactly, yep, the vintage or, the older style home.
So, prep work when you're painting.
Prep work. Both interior and exterior. Taping is always a good thing to do. Frog tape definitely is my favorite.
Yeah, it works very well.
It does. I've used that for a lot of different projects. It definitely keeps the paint out of those unwanted areas. TSP also. TSP is a product that kind of degreases or deshines any area that you want painted. So it helps apply that paint easier and helps that paint stick to that surface easier also. So that's definitely recommended.
Now get away from sanding.
Sanding. Sanding different exterior paint on siding, those areas that are starting to flake off or kind of chip away, you definitely want to get those areas away.
Smoothed out.
Yep.
No.
So sanding or scraping, stuff like that is definitely necessary. Otherwise, you're going to have your paint peeling away again.
But just in those areas?
Just in those areas. Yep. Furniture, like we had talked about earlier, depending on the paint that you're using, you're going to want to sand down those areas also to kind of get to your desired area where you will have paint stick to it.
And I am here to tell you people, you don't have to do it by hand. You got sanders.
We do. We have orbital sanders, we have belt sanders, we have a lot of different types of sanders.
And it makes the work a lot easier.
Mm-hmm. And depending on your area, we have a bonding primer, which it bonds to almost anything. So might be something you could consider depending on your project.
Now, if I have a quick turnaround on a project, what would you recommend? Let's say I've got graduation, and I didn't think of it, but I want to paint this room, and I got, a week to go, or 3 days to go, or something like that. What's the quickest way to get a room up and looking good?
Our Valspar product is a no VOC low odor. That is the one I always recommend for a quick turnaround. That way you don't have the smell, lingering in the room that you are painting, especially if it's 3 days away. That would definitely be the product.
Yeah, you don't want the odor there.
Yeah. Right, exactly. And that paint has no smell to it at all.
Not even a little bit?
Barely anything. You wouldn't be able to tell.
Huh,
yeah.
I'll be darned.
So for those that do have asthma issues and lung issues, that's definitely the product that you want to use for a person like that also.
Now there may be people out there thinking, well, I don't necessarily need to do a whole room or anything, but I might want to, touch up, do a little touch-up job in the rooms. You got some items for them?
We do. If you have a previous can of paint, you can always bring that in. We can match it up and mix up a new quart or gallon, whatever you need to touch up those areas. We also have a machine. It's a color matching machine.
It's like magic.
It's magic. Depending on the color and the texture of the paint that you bring in, we can take that swatch that you bring in and match it to almost exactly your color.
Yeah, well, I'll say it is, the human eye probably can't detect the difference if there is any. I can personally attest to that because I went down there and got some paint for my back doors because I wanted to match with my deck. You can't tell the difference.
Yes, it's definitely, technology's come a long way. So that technology or that device that we have is really nice to have.
And you don't even need much of a piece
No.
for a sample, right?
No, dime size or larger. Yep.
Dime size.
A dime size or larger.
And they can match it. I can tell you. If you don't believe me, you can come look in my back door and my deck and tell me that they don't match. Because they do.
Yes.
The paint job's not that great on the back door because I did it, but it matches. That's the main thing.
Good.
That's the main thing. It matches. You have this new Amy Howard paint. You were showing me. You got those pictures? I'm going to show them. Oh, John's got them. He's going to show them to the YouTube viewers.
Yes.
Pictures before. This is the before, John. The before. And after. Maybe you can describe what we're looking at here.
The before picture, it's a bench that has some storage in the bottom of it. And it was really worn. It was getting down to the surface where there was no shiny poly on it or anything. It's probably older than 25 years old, I'd say. And I don't know that anything had been done to it at all within that 25
Sure.
years. So this Amy Howard paint is kind of an antique paint if you want it to look antiqued. Otherwise, you can just use it as a regular furniture paint also.
So this was not varnished.
There was varnish on certain areas, but the Amy Howard paint is a one-step paint, meaning one step, you don't have to sand, you don't have to prime, you can just apply the paint.
Oh man, that's my kind of paint.
Yes. So I refurbished it. I applied a white coat on the base, and then there's something called a cracked patina, so it kind of gives it that crackle look, and then you apply your second layer of a different color. In this case, I did a bluish, greenish color, and it crackles that top coat. So it crackled that top bluish, greenish color, so you can see that white from the underneath coming through. So it kind of gives that cracked antique look. A little bit of a distressed look also, if you want to say that, but it turned out really nice, and literally all you have to do is paint on the paint. You don't have to do any type of sanding or distressing or steel wool to make it look distressed. It literally does all the antiquing on its own.
Oh my.
So it's pretty neat paint.
It sounds like it's about as magical as that color matching computer.
It's pretty magical. Yes, it's a very neat. So I've definitely gotten into the different antiquing. I've gone garage selling, which
Sure.
is definitely the time to do that. Just purchasing different type of furniture and playing with the product a little. It's awesome.
So you developed an interest in antiques.
I have. Yes, never thought I'd do that either, but
Well, it does look pretty cool.
yeah.
Versus a lot of the modern stuff.
Yes, yep. And like I said, you can just paint on the paint also without doing the distressing or the crackled look. You can just paint a color to make it look nice. One-step paint, you don't have to sand, you don't have to prime, you just paint on the color.
Oh man, I don't know about you folks, but that sounds like my kind of paint. It's called Amy Howard paint. Amy Howard must have invented it.
Amy Howard, yep, that's her whole concept, is stop throwing away furniture and refurbish it instead of throwing it away.
And then making it easy by not having to do all the prep work.
Exactly, yep.
Because that takes hours.
It does.
Literally.
It does.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And I don't know about you, Hailey, but my time is worth something to me.
Yes, that's right.
So,
Yep.
I like this idea. And we can do that with all paint.
Be very nice.
So, there you go. There's an idea. If you can invent a paint where you don't have to do any prep work whatsoever,
There you go.
you won't have to work another day in your life.
That's right.
But right now, she's the painting specialist, the paint department manager at Ace Hardware right here in Faribault. We talked about Belspar, I believe, earlier, right?
Yeah.
Clark and Kensington.
Clark and Kensington and Valspar are both your paint and primer in one, meaning the coverage of both of those paint are phenomenal. You don't have to prime those brighter colors to cover.
Again, saving you time.
Right. Yep. So they're both very nice paints.
They're some of the best in the industry, right?
They are. The Valspar is a very well-known brand.
Yep. And then Ace Royal would be, I would assume.
It is a very good paint. We sell a lot of that to like our apartment complexes. It's not necessarily a lower end paint, but the coverage on it isn't ideal. So if you're covering, a bright yellow with more neutral color, the coverage for that paint isn't ideal.
Okay.
So you definitely want to go with the Clark or the Valspar, your better covering paint.
Those are the better covering ones.
Exactly.
Valspar and Clark and Kensington. These are some of the names that you can ask for. If you stop by the painting department there at Faribault Ace Hardware, Hailey can help you. Hailey Shankey, our guest today here on AM Minnesota. Brushes. There are so many different kinds. I mean, when I have done what little bit of painting I've done, go to the store and you see all the different kinds of brushes. You scratch your head and go, I wonder what kind of brush I should use on this project.
There is a lot of different types of brushes. They go anywhere from your basic throwaway coarse bristle brush to your very fine bristled brush.
And of course, rollers.
Rollers, yep. Different types of rollers for different textures of wall.
Back when I first did my door, I started using a roller. That's when my neighbor said, Gordy, you might want to use a brush.
Sure, yep. Yeah. It just totally depends on the surface. If there's a lot of texture, you're going to want to use a thicker nap roller where you can get into those surfaces better and you don't have to use the brush.
Right. Wow. Well, initially, to be honest with you, I bought a sprayer.
Oh, you did, yes.
And I don't know, that didn't seem to work quite right for this project.
Depending on your project.
So then I went with the roller, which in the bigger areas is fine, but there's so much detail on a door,
Right, yep.
So the brush was a good idea.
Yes.
And not a bigger brush either.
The smaller, yep, we've got anywhere from an inch brush to a 4-inch brush for your different types of areas. Your bigger surfaces, obviously your bigger brush. Your smaller areas, your smaller brush.
Yeah, and chances are you'll need more than one kind of brush.
Most of the time.
I need to ask you, Hailey, because I told you I confessed to Hailey earlier today about my ignorance of caring for the brush, so I can use it again.
Yes.
What's the recommendation?
Definitely wash up that brush right after you're done. Most paint out there is a latex-based paint now, so you can wash it up with soap and water, warm water to get that paint out. Wash it up right away. If you are painting your wall and you want to finish later that day, put it in a plastic bag, wrap it up in a plastic bag. It'll keep that paint moist. That way you don't have to wash it up right away. You can go back to your job or your project later that day and your brush is still good.
And if you're done with the project,
wash it up.
You wash the brush, then how do you store it? Same thing in a plastic bag?
Nope, I would store it on a flat surface, just out in the normal air is just fine. After it's washed up, let it dry good, and just store it out in normal air. Just make sure there's no paint in those bristles, because then you'll get in the hardening, hardened paint in the bristles, and then you won't be able to use it again.
So, my dad, I remember when we were kids, used to have paintbrushes sitting in a can with, I don't know, turpentine.
Yep. Oil, that's for oil-based paint. The oil base is fading away now. We have very little oil base in our store, along with other stores also, anymore. So, because of those VOC levels, they're becoming illegal.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Makes perfect sense. We want to all be healthy, don't we?
Exactly, yep.
Yeah, we want to be healthy. We want our kids to be healthy.
Yes.
So I would guess that's what you've been doing a lot of painting is kids' rooms, right?
Yes. Yep. 2 of my own.
Yeah. Hailey Shankey is with us. She, again, is the paint department manager at Ace Hardware. If you ever have a question about paint, this is the place to go. And that color matching computer, as I mentioned before, is just like magic. I wish I could walk out of here and get you a glass of water.
Oh, that's okay.
There's a
I'm
water
okay.
cooler just outside the door there if
Okay.
you'd like to go get your, because I feel bad for you.
That's okay.
I get those, something in my throat once in a
Tickle in
while
your
too.
throat, yeah.
Yeah. There's not much you can do about it when you're on the air. So Hailey is with us this morning from Faribault Ace Hardware, which is located just a couple blocks from us, which is very handy.
Yes, right in the middle of town.
Yeah, I love the handiness of Ace. When I get off work, if I got a project coming up, I can walk down there if I want to walk.
Yep. Now with the nicer air.
And of course, usually I drive down there because it's a bigger item and I don't want to carry it all the way back to the radio station. But it is very convenient over there at Faribault Ace Hardware. They've expanded too. I love what they've done with the store.
We've expanded a lot with the new sporting goods department.
Yeah.
It's big.
And a terrific variety of goods too.
Yes.
Those batting cages are working wonders.
They are. We've been very busy.
I'm telling you, the Faribault Academy's fast pitch team, I know Tom Langfeld, their head coach, last Saturday on our Faribault Coaches Show, thanked Joe for allowing them to use the cages, and it's working for them. They're hitting the cover off the ball.
Yes. We've had a lot of teams over there, anywhere from the softball teams, the community softball teams, to your fast pitch and baseball teams. So it's been nice.
It really is a great asset for those teams, and I know teams are coming from other towns too.
Yeah. Yep.
Medford and you can name Waterville, all those area towns.
Yes. Yep.
So the word is getting out fast about the terrific batting cages available. You have to go to the cities anymore to get in a batting cage.
You do, yeah.
People love that. So Hailey, if you had some other painting tips to give us, what didn't we cover this morning? Is there anything we didn't cover?
I think we covered a lot of it.
Yeah.
The basics.
You would recommend on any furniture refurbishment this Amy Howard paint?
Definitely. It is the easiest paint to use. It's very good covering and durable. It's good. It's good paint.
I was telling you earlier, I got a metal chair that I'm trying to refurbish. What kind of paint should I use for that?
You could use, we've got a Rust Stop brand, it's now turning to a latex or a water-based, so that has the rust inhibitor in it, which is going to prevent it from rusting again. So that's probably your ideal. You're limited to colors. They have your normal yellow, red, blue, white, black. They have a few other brighter, lighter colors, but
no orange.
They have orange. They do have orange. You could use orange. Otherwise, that's probably the one I'd recommend because of the rust inhibitor, because you explained removing the rust.
Yeah, I'm in the process of doing that.
Yep. So that's the one I definitely recommend.
I know I'm living in a dream world. There's nothing I can apply that I won't have to scrape off all that dust.
Well,
the rust.
I would get as much rust off as you could. We do have a product called Rust Preventer. So it's actually a product that you apply on before your paint, and it helps you prep that surface to be a paintable surface rather than that rough, rusty, feel.
I'm trying to sand the rust off.
Yep. And then depending on your surface, you could use that, or you could just apply your paint.
After sanding it off.
After sanding it off.
I got it. There's no easy way around this, folks.
I would definitely sand it off.
Amy's like, you gotta work, Gordon.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. You're gonna have to work. There's no simple answer to it. Back in the day, spray paint was huge.
Oh, it still is.
It still is?
It still is, especially for your exterior products.
You have a lot of spray paint
We
down?
have a lot of spray paint. Lots of different colors. Anywhere from pink, bright orange, to your black and whites.
You have any idea how many different colors?
Ooh, no idea.
Okay.
We have 3 different lines. We've got our Ace brand, we've got Krylon, and we've got Rust-Oleum.
And those are recommended for what projects?
Anything. Really anything. They adhere to plastic. All 3 of them adhere to plastic.
Would that be the route to go on these chairs I'm talking about?
You could definitely use those on your chairs. Yep. The thing with spray paint is you have that overspray, so you're gonna, want to think about that, or maybe pick a calm day outside where you can lay plastic down and spray it then, or you've got your brush on to that rust stop that I was talking about. So.
Sounds good. Again, that color matching computer is magic.
It is. Yep. So if you've got little touch-ups for, like you said, your graduation, your first communion, stuff like that, and you just want to touch up your surface, bring in a little swatch, a dime size or larger, and we should be able to match that up for you or get very close.
I got a neighbor that's getting a new deck.
Mhm.
Their old deck is old.
Mhm.
And rather than redo the old deck, you know, having to stain it and do all that work,
Sure.
they're going to build a brand new deck.
Yep.
Although in a few years they'll be staining it again, right?
Yes. Yes, I'd highly recommend it, especially for a new deck that has nothing on it. Definitely stain it or waterproof it to protect that wood. You know, the more you stain it or the more you keep up with it, the longer it's going to last because it's not going to get that weathered look or weathered feel to it.
How often do I waterproof it?
Waterproofing, they normally recommend every 1 to 2 years. Staining, depending on your stain, it's anywhere from 2 to 6 years, depending on the product.
Wow. So you got some product that lasts 6 years.
The Cabot.
That's my kind of product.
Yes, we've got Cabot exterior stain. That's one of our best, or that is our best exterior stain. Like I said, depending on the product, they have anywhere from a waterproofer to a solid color deck stain. Different products in that area are going to last longer. They also came out with a new product called Deck Correct. So like you mentioned, your neighbors had a really weathered old deck. The Deck Correct would probably be something for them if they didn't replace it. It kind of fills in those cracks and helps make it not look so weathered or old. So it's a very neat product. It's a thick, durable product. It kind of gives it that look of that composite decking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's magic.
Yes.
All kinds of magic.
Yeah.
Faribault Hardware. Thanks, Hailey, for stopping in. Certainly appreciate it. Nice visiting with you.
Thank you, Gordy.
Yeah, Hailey Shankey, who's in charge of the painting department down at Faribault Hardware. Anything to know about paint, they're the place to go, believe me. You're in tune to KDHL AM Faribault, Minnesota.